Thank you for joining me for this video today. Jesse and I yesterday had the opportunity to do something that we haven't done before, and that is butchering our first 2 chickens. When Jesse and I started talking about this dream of living off-grid and living self-sufficient, our goal was to be self-sufficient on a very high level, and that included being responsible for our own food and our own meat. Little do we know that this opportunity would greet us sooner than we anticipated. This is not a how to butcher a chicken video. However, we really want to share the perspective of chicken butchering from someone who's doing it for the very first time, because we feel that no amount of internet preparation or even talking to people can really prepare you for your very first time, and it is a little different than we expected. So today we hope to share with you how this opportunity even came about, kind of how the process looked like, what some of our challenges were, and ultimately what we learned. Let's get going. So how did this all begin? So we were working on our timber frame battery box and our neighbor called us and he said, "Hey, I have a couple of chickens for you guys if you want to butcher them." So I said, okay. I figured, how hard could it be? It turns out I didn't quite know what I was getting myself and dragging Jesse into. So first off, we kind of knew that this wasn't something that we wanted to learn on our own. We really preferred that we had a mentor. We called around to some people that we knew, and it quickly became obvious that this time around at least, we were gonna have to tackle this on our own. If we had more time, we may have been able to find someone that would be willing to teach us, but we really didn't want to keep the roosters in this cage for a prolonged period of time for obvious reasons. So after doing some research to get us to the point where we felt comfortable taking this project on, we went to the neighbor's house only to find this crate sitting in their barn. So we picked it up, tossed it in the Subaru. Once we got home with the chickens, we decided to get the deed done with quickly because it was getting dark and we really didn't want the chickens just sitting here in their crate forever. This is where we took the chickens, and as you can see, there is a metal device screwed to that tree right there. We plopped the chickens right here where I'm standing, and one by one we decided to take them up to the cone to get the task done. Before we go any further, let me share that I've never picked up a chicken before. I know, people that grow up on farms do that by the time they're 2 years old, and here I am, way older than that, never picked up a chicken. So I took a big breath, I opened the cage, I grabbed the chicken, and I told Jesse to keep a careful eye to make sure the other chicken didn't get away. Going into this, that was really my one fear, is what if the chicken gets away, and now we're led on this wild goose chase around our property. Turns out, the chicken had a split second to escape, and it did. When it became obvious to me that Jesse wasn't going to be able to catch the chicken on his own, I decided to put the other chicken down after mustering up the courage to even pick it up in the first place, and off we went up the property chasing the chicken. We chased the chicken up the hill. We chased the chicken down the hill. We chased the chicken across the road and tried to get him back to the property. We sat crouched down like this on the hillside, crawling in bushes, trying to corner the chicken. And we got to experience just exactly what the chicken flew the coop actually means. True story, we saw this chicken fly for at least like 8 seconds in the air. It really caught us off guard, and that's where we learned that chicken was no match for us. It was going to win. We searched and we searched and we searched for the chicken only to not find it. Jesse decided that at this point, we were gonna have to go get the gun. When he came back, I was still looking for the chicken, and Jesse saw the chicken way up in those pine trees. He wasn't coming down for nothing. So after working together to get the chicken down from the tree, and after exhausting all other resources that we felt we had, we resorted to our very last option, which was shooting the chicken. We were able to do it in one shot straight to the head from afar, but that is definitely not what we expected. Were we happy about this? Absolutely not. This was probably our worst fear, is the chicken getting away and us being out of control with no way to get it back, because we have zero trust with the chicken. We don't have any fences on our property, but part of me thought, like, how hard could it be? If this was a real risk, people would be talking about it, and it's not, therefore I think we're okay. So, despite our feelings of how the first chicken went down, we feel that we did the best we could with what we had, we did what needed to be done, and we feel this is a very harsh reality of homesteading. So, on to chicken number 2. After doing a lot of research, we decided that the way we wanted to humanely kill the chickens was using a kill cone. This is not something that we already had laying around the property. There's lots of videos on how to make these. Some people use milk jugs, some people use 5-gallon buckets and cut them up and turn them into a cone. Some people use sheet metal, but we really felt the most comfortable at this point just buying one that was designed specifically for this task. So we grabbed chicken number 2. We stuck him in here head first, and the idea is that their feet are here and their head comes out right here. And in theory, you can get the chicken to relax a little bit, which we tried to do, and then when you get their head in the correct position, you take a really sharp knife, cut their throat, and let them bleed out. This portion too is also something that we're hoping would have gone a little bit smoother. It's not that it went bad, I just have never slaughtered anything before, and I've never cut the throat of anything or a chicken throat, so despite doing a bunch of research, I didn't really know how it was supposed to feel. Now I do feel I have a baseline, so next time I feel like I can better assess if the cut went good, bad, too shallow, too deep. I didn't know. Ultimately, I don't believe that the chicken suffered, and I do think that we got it done as best we could. Once the chickens were both dead and bled out, everything got a lot easier. It was never the post-processing that we were worried about, it was really the initial kill. So I'd say after that, things went pretty smooth. We dipped the chickens in scalding hot water for a certain length of time, maybe 30 seconds, and that's supposed to loosen the feathers up so that plucking is incredibly easy. And I'd say that all went pretty well. Right here is where we did the gutting of the chicken, and this wasn't a big deal for us. We actually feed our Bengal cats raw cat food, so I'd say on a monthly basis we're gutting chickens. They're from the store, of course, but there's still guts inside. So I'd say this is something that neither of us was squeamish about in the slightest. That said, we did have a YouTube video pulled up next to us showing the process and the order of cleaning the chicken, because there are things that we didn't know in orders that you should be doing things with, and ultimately we wanted to make sure that we were preparing the chicken for consumption in the best manner possible. In the end, we did end up with 2 clean chicken bodies. One we're gonna go ahead and give back to our neighbor, and the other one we get to keep and use as we see fit. I was also able to go ahead and pull out some chicken parts for bone broth. The things I saved are the feet, the throat, and then I also saved some organ meat for the kitty cats because they love it. So, things we've learned. I think first and foremost what we want to share is that opportunities aren't always convenient. In trying to live a self-sufficient life, there's a lot of things we don't know, so if we get the opportunity to learn something, we try to say yes, we try to make time in our schedules. Do we regret not having a mentor? It's not a regret, but I would say that if you have any control over the matter, try to get a mentor to help you out with this. We are still looking for someone that would be willing to teach us the art of raising our own meat, butchering animals, things like that. We don't taking a life lightly at all, and we do want to make sure it's something that we're doing in the most efficient, responsible way possible. And lastly, I'd like to share that I don't think becoming self-sufficient happens overnight. While things might not always go according to plan, I do know that Jesse and I always do the best we can with what we have. We always try to know what we're getting ourselves into, we try to do our research, we try to be responsible, and in the end, it's all a big learning process and you have to start somewhere. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to follow along the development of our off-grid homestead, then feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, it really helps us out. Also, feel free to follow us on our blog, it's purelivingforlife.com, as well as our Facebook page and our Instagram. We post on those channels a lot more than we do YouTube, just because it's a lot quicker. Alright guys, we'll see you next time.